On this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, some local town council announcements, and the town will be lighted up a little bit differently here in the near future.
It's like Christmassy with a little yellow mixed in.
Yeah. CEO of Erie Shores Healthcare, Kristin Kennedy, will be joining us to talk about measles in the community. And we got a federal election. Guess what? I got one right for the predictions, folks.
Whatever, Dave.
Thanks. All that and more on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. This episode of That Kingsville Podcast proudly brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. Are we just doubling up, echoing? Some beers are made for the moment, but great beer, that's made for memories. At Kingsville Brewery, we don't just craft beer, we capture the spirit of good times. Backyard barbecues, lakeside sunsets, and weekend getaways. Every brew is handcrafted right here in Ontario using quality ingredients and a whole lot of local pride. From the crisp, easy drinking light A lager to the smooth, citrusy notes of the Hefeweizen, there's a Kingsville beer for whatever's on tap in your life. So next time you raise a glass, make it something memorable. Make it Kingsville. Available at the LCBO, beer store, and select bars and restaurants. Visit kingsvillebrewery.com to find your flavor. Again, free delivery in Windsor and Essex County. Woo. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast. Welcome to this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. I'm going to sing this one through because everything else around's been kind of doom and gloom. It's Kevin, Steve, I'm Dave. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Guys, it's been a rough first quarter. Yeah. Thankfully, weather turning and I get some vitamin D absorption.
Are we going to attribute it? Do you think the weather's going to fix it?
It better. That's all
Okay. All right. I'll go with it. I'll go with it.
Rational thinking's not fixing anything. There's no such thing.
At the moment, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of rationality happening.
It's common sense, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're excited. We were talking last episode about some spring sports. It's the March Madness tournament right now for NCAA basketball. So
my bracket, I honestly, and I don't remember what we picked at all. But my bracket is killing it. I'm ranked in 3,000 out of 200 and some thousand in the Bleacher Report bracket right now.
Slow down. Quit asserting your dominance and expertise.
Are you doing better?
Yeah, no, I'm 353,000th in the CBS sports bracket tree and 2,400,000 some odd thousandth. So yeah, I'm an expert.
Never done one.
No, not
You've
interested.
never. Oh, they're a blast.
Every year I think, this will be the year, and then all of a sudden it's here. And
no, I know. I sent it to you guys, and then,
I know.
And then you guys just both ignored it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
I forgot to send it.
It's been kind of hectic. Maybe not so much for me as you two, but it's still been hectic.
Well,
There's been other stuff going on.
Well, yeah. Tying it a little locally, as of this recording on Friday, would that be the 28th? Yeah, 28th of March.
Yeah.
Both Michigan State and Michigan have games in the Sweet 16 in Atlanta. So it's kind of exciting. That's a bit of a local.
And if they both win,
then they face each other
on Sunday
in the Elite Eight on Sunday. Yeah, which,
that's a tough one.
Well, I think.
No.
No, it's not tough at all.
Just no.
It's not a tough one.
Divides families over in Michigan and even here.
I suppose.
I meant more. I think it's tough for it to actually end up that way. I think Michigan's been pretty tough.
Oh, sure. But you know what? That's what the tournament's about, right? That's where you have low seed teams beating number ones. And, that's why people watch.
And you could have a number one seed that might crash in Auburn.
Oh. Honk, honk.
Oh.
It's pronounced Auburn for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway.
It's a stretch, but still.
Yeah.
Any other basketball puns?
Oh, I probably got a ton.
Okay, well, we'll just kick them out. So the town of Kingsville,
I'm a bit of a basket case, so we'll see how it goes.
They're just going to dribble in.
Yeah.
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Hunt.
I mean, if you're courting them, it, take a while.
Oh, the key is moving on.
The town of Kingsville Town Council back mid-March made a few announcements, and guys, it's one thing that we were talking about. There's one point. Let me just I'll summarize a few things on the report.
Do it.
And then we'll get to the meat and potatoes, as it were. Some zoning changes subdivision agreement where there's a street renamed and a cul-de-sac and blah 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 blah.
Oh, what's that?
175 Waggle Ave, which will have 18 blocks, 36 semi-detached homes, and 1 block for a temporary cul-de-sac, a new public road named Sarka Street.
It's a biggie. That's the one across from the Grove.
That's correct. Yeah, that was the old. The property where
How paving
was. Yep, which we knew was going to be developed at some point in time.
There had been some issues with that one though. It had gone to council and came back and went to council again. So this is the revised plan.
It's revised. Yeah. So, 36 semis in there, and right in there. We'll see what's happening. There was authorization of the mayor and CAO to enter a 5-year lease with South Essex Community Council (SECC), using 2,320 square feet in the Lions Hall. So they'll be moving off of Main Street and into the Lions Hall complex with the food bank, which we discussed when we had the ladies in a few weeks ago. Granted the BIA to use up to $24,550 plus tax of their reverse fund to enhance advertising and promotional efforts. Authorize the mayor and clerk to decide a joint use
this now.
What's that?
I said, who's reading this?
No, I'm gonna get blurby. Here's the first of the two big ones, and we should actually discuss this. Authorization of the mayor and clerk to sign a joint use agreement for the Greater Essex County District School Board for facilities at Erie Migration District School. So they're sharing the properties now with the town, or the school board is allowing the town to use the facilities at the school, much like we had with Migration Hall in certain respects and whatnot. So that's kind of significant because that gives another space for events and things like that rather than having to move it out of town, because that's what a lot of things, there isn't a big enough gymnasium to use for events. Nothing. All right. For once in how many episodes, you got nothing to say about it?
Well, maybe not. I mean, there's
sorry about
Jeez. No, that's okay. Now you put me on the spot. And I'm like, oh well, if I have to come up with something.
No, you don't.
It makes sense in a lot of ways. But
we'll see how it works out, right? There was a process.
So does that allow community groups?
I would assume so.
Like Kingsville class will be able to use the
gymnasium.
Right.
Gym.
This is what, so it's or is it for the town to use it?
No,
for what they want to do.
No, I would, without reading the joint use. I'm just reading the summary from the Kingsville.ca website. I would assume that there would be conditions where the town could utilize those facilities as well.
But the town, as in the town entity, or
like for their programs, or the town as in community groups within the town, like Kingsville class,
good question.
Whoever else used the gym on occasion. Scouts.
I was
in scouts out there, or guides or something. I know they use
minor
churches.
ball. We were in St. John's gym last night.
Maybe theater productions, etc. Dance groups.
There is a stage in there, right?
Yeah, small one. And bleachers. There's bleachers there now. I sat in them.
That point at the stage.
Yeah, and then you have to
they're pretty hard. It's not like
need a massage afterwards.
It's not like my. We were.
Weird question. Are the walls of the gym drywall?
No, it's concrete brick.
It is brick.
Okay, it's cinder block brick.
Because someone.
That'd be the dumbest thing in the world.
I had heard from someone, and that's why I wanted to ask. So I'm glad.
Not the gym walls.
The gym walls are not drywall, so there's no massive dents in the walls.
So I've been in it once.
I can't answer that.
I've been in it once.
I think I've been in it twice, 3 times maybe, but I've never. To me, it just looks like a regular gymnasium. It's quite beautiful. It's an impressive gymnasium.
It's big. Stuff in it.
Strangely located.
New school board or scoreboard. But the piece of the resistance.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But the scoreboard?
No, the gym itself as to where they put it.
Inside the school? Like where it's located in the plan?
As to where it's located within the school, yes.
I've never been in the school. Is it?
So
you have to elaborate now.
Well, I mean, most gymnasiums have direct access to outdoors.
This one does not. It's in the middle of the
It's in the middle of the school.
Oh, how does that work for fire?
Well, you run out. There's fire exits.
You still run
into the hallways, but then there's no direct access out of the building from the gymnasium.
But that's not the point. Like it's like
indoor, outdoor.
Think about all the out of or weekend events that might be held at a high school gymnasium. So instead of sort of going in a door as you would at, when you went to KPS, you walk in, you go straight to the gym. Jack Minor had gym access right beside the gymnasium, KDHS, right? All three schools had it. This one, you've got to go in through the front door, the side door. You're actually walking through portions of the school. So to me, there's more risk, there's more accessibility for others. It's not a big deal, but in one sense, but it's still.
I honestly thought it was a requirement to have an external door on a gym because it could house like a few hundred people and you need to get them out of a burning building fast. Like I honestly thought that was a requirement so that those people could immediately egress to.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like it's not far to exits.
I would assume they did a traffic study.
Are you sure?
Of foot traffic?
Are you sure you want to assume that?
But anyway, we're digressing here from.
Yeah, we're not talking about fire.
The original point was the town and
the town again.
And the school board.
March 17th, town council meeting. Summary again. The big point that we had discussed on the show before. They directed the staff to plan and install a traffic light at the intersection of Woodycrest Avenue and Jasperson Avenue, and to make a formal request to the Greater Essex County District School Board to widen their driveway at 1620 Jasperson Drive. All right, who's gonna take the credit?
I mean, the report did reference my angry email.
I took credit for the crossing guard,
and which you should 100%.
But I won't take credit for the light.
There has been many conversations and many points of discussion with regards to the safety around the new school, and we've all had commentary with both elected officials and sent.
Lots of, and this. I mean, there was a number. I'm sure of emails received by
sure.
council. Did you read the report? Because there's a couple. So there's a few things in there that's kind of made me chuckle as I was reading it. So one was the initial traffic engineering study apparently suggested against it, saying that that it shouldn't have a light and instead it should have the pedestrian crossing. I don't know who those traffic engineers are because the second firm that they hired did a pedestrian count and determined that while the current pedestrian count was just shy of requiring a full signalized intersection, they were still recommending council go ahead with it because they did the pedestrian count in December. So a traffic engineer goes out, counts the number of people walking to a school in December and says, you know what, actually, this number of students that walk to school in December doesn't quite match the total number of people that should require an intersection, but you should probably do it anyway.
Hey,
and that's from traffic engineer who was the engineer on the project who says not only you don't need it, here's where you should put a pedestrian crossing. Also, don't bother to have the driveways the right size, and let's rebuild the curbs on the road after they've already been installed to engineering specs, and then have to go and widen the road again.
Yeah, why not?
Like, I don't know who the traffic engineer was, but I hope someone at the town has taken their name down and maybe considered not hiring them for future projects.
And for the record, we don't have anyone from the town to speak to this evening.
No,
this is just our opinion.
We're three bozos. We are not the news.
Not the news.
This is our commentary. Now, we did not reach out to the town. Kevin did read the report, though.
I read it.
You had time.
Yeah.
I didn't have time.
Sounds like you wrote some of it.
Maybe. But again, we did talk about this a lot.
And you know what? At least at the end of it, it's going to get installed now. So the public understands there's a significant, and this is laid out in the report as well, there's a significant backlog on traffic signal equipment. So it's not going to happen right away or even within weeks. Like it sounds like it's months and months delayed.
It'll be a year.
But
Might have the school finished by then.
maybe. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be allowed to hang stuff on the walls by then. But that here, like at least we're at a position now where we're going to have safe crossings for the students. We have crossing guards now that are ensuring their safety as well. We're going to have a driveway that people can actually turn in and out of at the same time, which is a neat idea. Now, if only we can get a driveway that would allow a bus to not have to turn into oncoming traffic when they're turning out of the driveway. But I mean, you don't want to, like, I don't want to nitpick here. Like, at least the kids will be safe, and then we can sort how the buses are going to drive later.
You're not asking for much. Asking for much.
At least the kids will be safe, and that's all that matters.
I think it is a more appropriate way, having driven through that intersection or that T junction during morning rush.
Actually, if it's and according to the traffic manual, like signal light design manual, if it's a T intersection with a school on the other side, it's considered a 4-way intersection.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, it fits because there's a high volume of traffic that comes in and out of that facility for a period of 8 hours a day. Right. Usually concentrated in the morning, and then that's 2 times in the afternoon.
I would say between probably 7 and 9:30 is busy, particularly because it's not just the 2 schools, it's the daycare as well.
Yeah.
So you've essentially got 3 entities in one building. And then from about 2:15 to even 5:30.
Yeah.
Because beyond that, you've got other events at both schools throughout the day. So
I would like to see some OPP presence as well on Jasperson.
I did.
Did you?
I did. Actually, I took dropped my son off at Bend the other day. I'm not going to give. It's not a big deal, but I'm not going to say where the cruiser was parked. But it was in the vicinity, and it was nice to see. And listen, this is not on the OPP in one sense, because it's not like this is the only spot in town where there's issues. But it was good to see.
Division's terrible. I've watched people pass cars in the turning lane on Division just after the creek.
Yeah.
Road 2 is brutal in the mornings too. But luckily they've also been out on Road 2 with more regularity over the last couple of weeks. So I think they understand that there are some significant concerns in that kind of Jasperson Road 2 to Division kind of area, and which is good because it honestly, as a commuter that drives through it every day, I would rather my drive be 5 minutes to 10 minutes longer and know that I'm not going to run a kid over than the way that it was previously. So this is great.
The other day, my parents stopped by to walk the dog, and they said that it was towards the end of the school day, and just a vehicle just rather than even slowing down at the stop sign or a stop sign accelerated. And there were a couple of people in the neighborhood around, and they said, it's a common thing now with the school. So I reached out to someone in the OPP, and this person acknowledged that they were aware of these incidents. So you know what, they're doing what they can. I've certainly seen cruisers in the neighborhood at different times of day, connected to high traffic time periods.
Yeah, it's the only other missing connection is in commuting before the school day starts. Commuters that are coming south to north utilize it as a drag strip and rip by. But I know that there's some early student activity at the school, so it's dangerous in the dark. Now that daylight savings time's coming, we're getting a little lighter in the morning.
Yeah,
it's better, but the division in Jasperson have turned into the north-south drag strips.
Well, and one of the worst times for high traffic volume is actually about 7:45 to 8 o'clock, if you will, simply because the high school day is getting started. So you've got all that traffic. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the elementary school, it's banned.
Yeah.
So you've got that extra traffic flow going to the elementary school. I mean, the start times of the schools are different simply for busing and traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But at that period, it is increased, and it can be hard sometimes just coming from Woody Crest to make a right turn onto Jasperson.
Mm-hmm. Well, needless to say, something's being done.
We're better now.
We'll be better now when it's done.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
It was a long way coming, but the issue was addressed. Hopefully it gets done in a reasonable amount of time, considering some of the delays in equipment and whatnot. But it's been approved. It's been authorized. It's been put forth. So hooray.
Thank you.
Thanks. Joining us on That Kingsville Podcast, Kristin Kennedy, President and CEO of Erie Shores Healthcare. Thanks for coming on the show again, Kristin.
Thanks for having me.
There's some big news around the facility these days, dealing with measles.
Yes, who would have thought?
Well, nobody, right?
Yeah. Yep. We have seen an increase in measles over the, I would say, last 4 weeks, but definitely a concerning trend over the last week or so. Somewhat anticipated on the heels of March break, but with that, we've put some new measures in place to hopefully keep the staff safe in the community and our patients as well.
Yeah, on our last episode, Kevin was great, and he informed everyone about measles and how measles is spread and what to do and how the hospital could still help you. But the big announcement coming out just a couple of days ago was the dedicated measles assessment clinic. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with the clinic?
Yeah, so we just thought it was probably important based on the increased traffic that we were seeing in the emergency room and in the waiting room that we looked at what did we do well during the pandemic and how could we look to bring that back in some fashion in a modified way for the community, especially for those that are waiting in our waiting room that may be immunocompromised, or we may have children waiting to be seen in the emergency room as well. And just to help us prevent some of that exposure amongst individuals. So we did open the Measles Assessment Center this week on Tuesday. And it is open from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. And it's really just an area for individuals that may be high risk, that have a fever, a rash, red eyes, or a cough, to be able to be diverted to an ambulance that is sitting outside of our emergency room, and they can be assessed to see, do they need a higher level of care in our emergency room, or are they okay with mild measles symptoms to be able to go home and self-isolate and contact their primary care physician and or public health for some additional guidance as well.
Kristin, before, and I know the answer to this a little bit, but it gets you to kind of discuss it. Before the assessment clinic was opened up, how often was it that someone that was coming to the hospitals either with measles or suspected measles actually needed to be in the hospital? Because that's part of the reason why the decision was made to open this clinic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's typically unusual that you would require emergency room care for measles. Now, if you have severe symptoms where you're concerned that you or your child may be developing pneumonia, that of course would deem you appropriate to be coming to the emergency room. But this was happening quite often in the hospital. And for those individuals in the community to know, we have proper air circulation within the ER. However, we do close any area in which there may be a measles exposure or a patient taken care of with measles for 35 minutes after they leave the hospital. So you can imagine if you have 10 patients coming in within the span of 4 to 5 hours, that is really starting to prohibit our ability to take care of patients and the operations of the hospital on a day-to-day basis. So that's exactly right. Just trying to pull some of that volume out of the hospital, but also important to remind individuals that if you have mild symptoms of measles, that you're going to your primary care physician, of course, calling them in advance to let them know you're coming so that they can make the appropriate arrangements, or you're calling public health unit to be able to guide you on some of your self-isolation practices for the upcoming days that you should be in isolation.
For and now the hospital, we launched the assessment clinic. Also, there's some visitor restrictions that had to go into place, right?
Yes, so we do have visitor restrictions in place right now, and that's for anyone under the age of 16, not allowed into the hospital unless, of course, you are seeking emergency care and or you are hoping to be able to visit a palliative care patient in the hospital. And if that is the case, we are looking for a manager within the organization to approve that visit and for us to be able to verify that vaccinations have been given in the past for the individual child that is coming into the emergency room to visit a loved one or within the hospital as well.
You mentioned, obviously with March break, that maybe anticipated isn't the right word, but you knew the volume was going to increase. Is there any idea of when this might peak or plateau, if you will, or is it you just kind of treat it day to day and hope it does?
Right now, what we're hearing from Public Health Ontario is that the peak is anticipated in the spring. We are in that period right now. I'd say we probably have about 4 weeks left of that peak period. And then we're hoping to see a downward trend over the upcoming weeks into months. Right now, we're working on the assumption of July as kind of the tapering down end period.
So you mentioned about vaccinations and oh man, excuse me,
Need some water.
I'm getting so emotional. The MMR, the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, being the way that we can help prevent the spread or condition the spread. Is there a facility at the hospital right now where we can receive that, or how do people get their vaccinations?
So the preference is not that you're coming to the hospital for your vaccine. There are very specific circumstances in which you may be directed to the hospital for a vaccine. However, if you do need a vaccine, we are encouraging individuals to contact Public Health, Windsor-Essex Public Health Unit, or that you call your primary care provider for the vaccine. But we are encouraging individuals to have their vaccine. First dose of vaccine is 87 to 94% effective. And the second dose brings your efficacy or the immunity up to 97 to 100%.
And Kristin, that one dose or two dose for the most part for the general public, it doesn't go away. It's not a matter of, I'm 45 and I got my doses when I was a baby, so I should get revaccinated.
That's right. There's a lot of conversation and narrative out on social media around the year you were born. But what we are told and what we are telling individuals out in the community, if you've had your 2 doses of vaccine, you are immune. You do have some natural baseline immunity in you. You don't necessarily need to have your titers checked. If you feel that you need to, based on being immunocompromised, you can certainly go to your primary care provider to have that done, and they will guide you on the appropriate next steps. but most individuals across Windsor-Essex County have a natural immunity if they have their 2 vaccines.
Now, there are people, obviously, who choose not to get vaccinated. I'm wondering if you've actually seen more people willing to at least get this one. Is the PR working? Are people saying, okay, you know what, I see the effects, or are we still sort of dealing with the same sort of numbers? Those who do get vaccines are getting it, and those who are absolutely against it. And I'm not judging. I'm just, some people are still sort of staying or shying away.
I'll say that we're seeing a small uptake in having vaccines, but it is still smaller than we had hoped for and smaller than what will help with the general easing of the spread at this point. So again, just continuing to encourage and educate individuals across the community about the benefits. And it's not just a benefit for yourself. It's a benefit for individuals within your family that may be immunocompromised, for young children, for pregnant mothers, and for newborn infants that aren't able to access first dose of MMR until they're 6 months to 1 year old. So I think it's personal choice, but I think, we're hoping that individuals are taking into account that doing their part also helps prevent any complications for other individuals across the community as well that are vulnerable.
So since we're coming out of COVID being very recent, are we seeing a lot of the same kind of reaction towards, I guess, the scrutiny in a vaccination? Post-COVID, there was a lot of discussion that there was effectiveness, there isn't effectiveness, or is it that, no, this has been proven because the MMR vaccine's been out? Do we see any resistance towards it?
I would say most of the commentary has been supportive of the hospital and the message that we're providing. I think it's hard to discount the fact that we had a disease that was eradicated and that we're seeing this come about worldwide, really, but very prominently in North America. And the vaccine does work. We can't discount that.
Absolutely.
And Kristin, just kind of expanding on that, and obviously I work in the hospital, so I see it every day. Coming out of the pandemic, obviously for staff, it was a bit triggering to start to have to see signs again of having to wear masks, visitor restrictions. It hasn't been easy for staff, right?
Absolutely. Definitely challenging. I think probably more mentally challenging than many people even thought. It's only been maybe 2 years that we've, begun to move out of the pandemic. So yes, it's definitely been challenging for the staff and the physicians to have to adapt and move in this direction once again. And, that's something for the public and those that may not be vaccinated to also consider, that this is a burden on a medical system that is already in a fragile state.
Well, it's hard to dispute that, Kristin. It's incredibly hard.
Yep.
So yeah, the clinic is open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Just outside of the hospital in a mobile unit staffed by RNs and RPNs. If you are experiencing severe measles symptoms, you're encouraged to go. If it's mild, isolate at home unless your symptoms change. Any forecast about how long you'll have this clinic available to the public, or is it until the numbers subside?
Right now, we are just planning through July, but really monitoring it on a week-by-week basis. And if the numbers trend in the right direction, which we're hoping for, we will be able to close down the unit within a few days. But we will continue to keep the public updated on the necessity for it and what the outcomes are publicly as well.
Absolutely. That's in everyone's best interest. Reduce the numbers, continue on with life. So thanks again, Kristin, for joining us on the podcast again. We're spreading the word as much as we can, and hopefully everyone that listens to us will communicate and understand the importance of vaccination and treating measles as severe as it is.
Yeah, thank you, each of you, and I hope you have a great night.
You too. Thank you. Like she's great for the hospital. That she couldn't have put it any more concise and as important as it is. Like addressing the severity of what measles is. It's misunderstood because it wasn't like it was something you heard about, but nobody ever had the measles because we got inoculated.
Yeah,
it's difficult because it tends to get lumped in with those childhood diseases like chicken pox, like mumps back in the day. But measles isn't chicken pox. Like chicken pox are itchy and a rash and you could get a scar and then you move on. Where like measles can turn into pneumonia and people die. There's a very different thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, now not obviously it's not a widespread killer, but why put the public in a situation when this was eradicated already? There
was one guy and he lived on an island in like the Galapagos and he was like the carrier pigeon for measles. And then he decided, like, hey, I'm going to go see what Toronto's like. And then wham, patient zero. No, is that a movie?
I'm not sure that's.
Wasn't it
not sure that's the way.
Wasn't it Outbreak?
Is that Outbreak?
Was that Outbreak?
That one wasn't the monkeys.
That was the monkeys.
That was the monkeys from the Congo.
It was Brad Pitt, though, wasn't it?
Was it Brad Pitt?
Was it Brad Pitt? No, it was Morgan Freeman.
They're basically the same person.
Not really, Kevin.
Okay, this is taking a sidetrack. Wow.
But exactly, it was under control, and there wasn't this outbreak, and then unfortunately, things happen. Right, the globe is more connected than it's ever been.
Well, the things that happen is people don't get vaccinated with vaccines that are known to eradicate diseases. Like it's not things happen. That's the thing that happened.
And we coexist with the diseases in perpetuity. It's not like the disease is like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a vacation and I'm just not going to kick it in the pub. Well, are you looking up patient zero? Are you looking up the difference between Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman?
No, but like the movie Outbreak had a pretty incredible cast. Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, Donald Sutherland, Cuba Gooding Jr., Kevin Spacey, Patrick Dempsey.
Oh, it was World War Z with Brad Pitt. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that was zombies.
Yeah, but it was a disease spread through like the blood and saliva. Or 28 Days Later. I like those movies. They're fun.
You're allowed to.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, in case of emergency, watch those movies and you know what not to do or what to do in either case. But yeah,
measles.
Measles
is bad. Measles is bad.
That's a misconception. Is people think that we got rid of polio, so it's just gone. No, polio's still kicking around.
It's waiting for you.
Yeah, it's just we have the immunity towards it, so it doesn't affect us. So the greater population is vaccinated. So for those of you at home who are not, I'm sure Kristin and the rest of the staff at Erie Shores Healthcare would love it if they could shut down this clinic and get back to life as normal, because right now they're the only ones that have to take all the precautions because they're your first frontline caretakers in emergency. So let's do them a solid and get vaccinated. So that's going to be all over. Anyway, guys, there was an election called, and I was right.
I said there was going to be a federal election
next year. You did. I said it was this year.
I said it was going to happen this year.
You said late.
I said the provincial one was going to be first.
I don't even remember.
Regardless,
you're the holder of the knowledge. So there is one.
I look back a year later to figure out what we said.
So nobody cares. Nobody listens to that episode anyway. What are you doing it again?
No one's listening to this one either.
Whatever. Yes, they are. Mom, I love you. So yeah, we got a new prime minister for the interim, Mark Carney.
Yep.
Okay, replaced Justin Trudeau. And then over this past weekend, he decided he was going to dissolve Parliament and have an election on April 28th.
Yeah.
So that's a Monday, if I remember correctly, and it's crazy. So we've got a whole bunch of ridings in the area, and as of recording today, which would be March 26th, these are the candidates for the ridings in our community. We'll talk a little bit more about Essex when we get there. So Windsor West, representing the Green Party of Canada, Louis Ahmad. People's Party of Canada, Jacob Bezaire. Conservative Party of Canada, Harbinder Gill. Communist Party of Canada, Joey Markham. And the incumbent from the New Democratic Party, Brian Massey.
Harbinder Gill was a candidate before, I think.
I think so. I
recognize the name.
Yeah.
So there were some changes to some of the ridings. There was some, reorganization, consolidation, and redrawing of the boundary lines. So Windsor, Tecumseh, Lakeshore, one of those new ridings that kind of takes on a chunk of Lakeshore. So there's some people that were voting in Essex beforehand that are now voting in Windsor, Tecumseh, Lakeshore.
It's like the Amy Croft area, I think, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So Amy Croft all the way. I mean, tell you right.
Like Emeryville
to Pike Creek. So that's basically the dividing lines, Pike Creek.
It's before Emeryville, I believe. Isn't it? Then Emeryville would still be part of
correct.
Essex.
That's correct. Yeah. So the candidates in the riding of Windsor, Tecumseh, Lakeshore, representing the People's Party of Canada, Nick Babick. The New Democratic Party, Alex Ilioski. The Liberal Party of Canada and the incumbent, Eric Kazmarchuk, sorry, thank you. I say that every time that I read his name.
I'm pretty sure it's Eric.
Eric
Kazmarchuk.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, anyway. I apologize. And the Conservative Party of Canada, Mark McKenzie. Is that the Mark McKenzie from the radio?
Yeah. I worked with Mark.
There you are.
Yep.
So Essex. So here's the big one. That's us. So we did lose that chunk of Lakeshore, but small portion, better appropriate for the riding for those candidates up in that area. As of today, we only have 4 candidates that have announced that they're running. The People's Party of Canada, Jason Henry, for the riding of Essex. Conservative Party of Canada, who is our incumbent, Chris Lewis. The Liberal Party of Canada, Chris Sutton. And the New Democratic Party, Laurie Whiteman. So I'm not familiar with Chris or Laurie or Jason.
Laurie's name's familiar.
Yeah.
I don't recognize
WIGHTMAN.
Yeah.
Yep. Whiteman. So
Chris Sutton, I think Chris Sutton ran before.
Honestly.
He did. Yeah.
No, I thought I read that he was new to politics.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. He did a big presser with Eric on Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Oh, so yeah,
missed it.
So the riding of Chatham, Kent, Leamington, again, another one of those that they kind of amalgamated, kind of took a chunk out of and combined together.
Well, they broke up. The big reason of that is they broke up Sarnia, Lambton, Middlesex, which was like the size
enormous,
of PEI.
Right? It was enormous. So it has also been it's Chatham, Kent, Leamington, Pelee Island too, right?
Oh, okay.
There you are.
I think that's where I know the name from.
Yeah.
So they've got 3 candidates that have
I'm
announced
not
so far.
telling anyone. We're just go ahead.
It's a radio for one.
Short to the library. Right.
Well, yes, she was involved with their
2016.
She was the union leader for 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the riding of Chatham, Kent, Leamington, Dave Epp, the Conservative Party of Canada, who's their incumbent. For the New Democratic Party, Seamus Fleming. And the People's Party of Canada, Trevor Lee.
No Liberal candidate.
Not yet. It's still time.
Does it matter?
Well, yeah,
I think it matters.
It does matter. We'll get into that. And then, as Kevin touched on it, there's been the reorganization of the old, what was it?
Sarnia
Lambton. So
Middlesex.
Yeah. So it's
Lambton, Kent, Middlesex. Or
right.
Lambton,
So now
Kent,
it's Middlesex, London, and now Sarnia, Lambton, Bikejwanong. which basically goes up to South Middlesex, Lambton Shores, all the way down to Leamington, like Kettle Point, a little further. But they've got 4 candidates that have declared so far. Libertarian Party of Canada, Jacques Boudreau. The New Democratic Party, Lo-Ann Chan. The People's Party of Canada, Brian Everett. And the incumbent from the Conservative Party of Canada, Marilyn Gladue. So that's the landscape for all the candidates that'll be running, and you'll see all the signage in front yards over the next month.
I saw some Chris Sutton signs already. Oh, and I saw some Dave Ep signs as well.
And some Chris Lewis signs have been out there.
Are they out too?
Yeah, there's been a few. I've seen a few Chris Lewis. Saw my first Chris Sutton on the way here.
He's from Kingsville, right? Like it's hometown. So getting him out there. Steve, going back to your comment about the Liberal candidates, there should be a candidate from every major party in every riding. There should.
I'm just saying that to me, Dave Ep is such a solid representative, and it is a strong conservative area that they should have a candidate. I agree, but I don't. When I say it doesn't matter, in the end, the result won't matter.
Yeah, it's
and I mean no disrespect, sorry, to the other candidates in that riding, but to me, Dave's the lock.
Yeah, it's whenever you have a conservative candidate that can get elected that's from the south end of that riding, it's difficult to beat, right? Because typically the Leamington, Wheatley area used to be the Liberals that would elect, and then they would just have to pick up enough votes in Chatham, and the Liberals would sweep the Leamington half of the riding, and then they would get elected. Jerry Pickard would get elected that way. Pat Hoy got elected that way. But if you have a conservative that's from Leamington that's electable, then they're really difficult to beat that way.
And geographically, it's such a spread out area too, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're concentrating on the amount of population that's condensed, you got that stronghold, right? Yeah. It takes a lot, especially with voter turnout numbers not being the best over the last few years because the way politics go. I'm thinking that this election may bring a lot of people out of the woodwork with the current political climate, both here in Canada and internationally.
Well, I think one thing that's very interesting about the way that everything is shaken out is that if up until, the new year, the nationalistic vote, the person who's like, I'm Canadian, was probably voting conservative. And now while the polls show, the polls show that it's 50-50 now. The people who would say I am Canadian could just as easily be planning to vote Liberal as it could be planning to vote Conservative. And the shift in the polling is like there's lots and lots of stories out there. We don't need to hash into it too deep, but the flip in the polls of and the absolute seeming polling crumble of the Conservatives down from their like strong obvious majority to basically a toss-up now is pretty stunning to see.
And it's with Justin Trudeau resigning and Mark Carney coming in, and the political climate and the being Canadian means so many different things to so many different people with political affiliations now. Like some people are very proud. Well, we're all proudly Canadian. It's just what does that represent to you? And there's Liberal proudly Canadian, there's Conservative proudly Canadian, there's New Democrat proudly Canadian, then there's Bloc Québécois.
That are
the Bloc Québécois, right? And then there's them. And the polling numbers, it's very premature, and I'm sure the numbers back and forth, it'll be a toss-up for the foreseeable 3-4 weeks until election time. Everyone's rolling out their political platforms, any of their campaign promises, or doing their road trips, right? Mark Carney was just in Windsor today discussing tariff relief for $2 billion for the auto sector. I'm sure Pierre Poilievre will be back because he's been down here a few times.
Interesting, Mark Carney's one of his first campaign stops is the exact location that Doug Ford kicked his campaign off.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Right beside the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Jagmeet Singh, he was here in Windsor, right? So I'm sure he'll be back. We are in Essex, Windsor, Essex, at the heart of the political trade discussion because of our international trade that flows
Actually,
through.
Jagmeet Singh was in Essex last time. He stopped by.
Did he?
Yeah, he was out in the plaza on Arthur Street.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't.
He was right there, downtown Essex.
Well, interesting. I'm not sure we're going to see if anybody or see anyone from the block come down.
probably not.
Or Green Party, maybe not.
Green Party used to make a trip down here, but I don't think they're even running a candidate. So,
and I don't know if there's enough time, right? Yeah. They've got to focus on their center to ensure that they've got 2 seats?
Yeah.
2 seats. I'm sorry.
I mix them up with provincial and federal.
Yeah,
I forget.
Eventually they have 2.
Correct. Right. I might be confusing it, but
BC, maybe they have one.
I thought it was one in BC and one in Ontario, but I could be completely wrong. I would, if only you could look this up on the internet. Anyhow, the encouragement that I think I would have is this election is important for many different things. Every election is important for many different things. If you don't think that your vote counts, you're very, very wrong. Yes. One adds to another one, adds to another one, adds to another one. And if you inform yourself and you are confident in the choices that you're making, it will make a difference to an extent. It's not to say that your direct vote elects one direct person, but if we all participate, it's a group selection. And to unify the country, in this case, everybody has to exercise their right to vote.
Sorry, just the Green Party has one candidate in BC and one candidate in Ontario.
Ooh, look at us.
Got the brain on this guy. I thought I had a smooth brain after
work.
I'm developing a smooth brain. It's crazy.
Really?
All works.
You want to talk about it?
No, because I'm very tired. You
should have some sleep, man.
I do. I sleep and then I go back to work to deal with all of the fun, the calculations.
Brain is the one thing that we want wrinkled.
Yeah, I do. Jeez. And my money in my pocket.
Elizabeth May and Mike Morris.
Ta-da. Congratulations.
So the piggybacking on your point, not the smooth brain point.
Everybody that listens to us is like, that guy's got a smooth brain.
That makes sense.
Nonsense all along.
I thought they were just dorks. It's important to it is important to listen to the rhetoric a bit because there's going to be a lot of it over the next 3 years. And so electing someone that you agree with and the way that they deliver rhetoric, not even as much as what they're saying, but the way that they deliver it is going to be important because those are going to be the speeches that are going to land on television in when the election's over and there's a television happy president south of us that loves to watch speeches from other politicians. So normally I would say don't pay a lot of attention, but this election I think electing someone that speaks the way that you agree with, not just the words but the style matters. And then go on their website, spend 30 minutes and read about parts of the platform that matter to you. You don't have to read the 300 pages, but if you have young kids, read about their childcare. If you're aging, read about their pension and retirement plans. If you work in the trades, read about their plans for tariffs. It's important to actually sit down and read what it is that they're going to do. Because as much as people want to say the politicians lie, their policy papers tend to be right and tend to be what ends up happening. Not exactly the way that you might hope it does, but at least it gives you an idea of how they're going to prioritize what they're going to be governing. So it's like just take 30 minutes. Like it if there's been an election that it matters, it's this one in our current voting history.
Yeah. And understand, if there's one point that is interesting you, invest the extra time and find out the rest of it. You may agree with one point, but not the rest of the platform. Yeah. So, I can't urge people enough. Take the time.
Yeah.
Make the choice. Vote. It matters.
And also, if you can't find the answer, if there's something that you want to know and you can't find the answer, ask your candidate. If your candidate can't answer it, then don't vote for them. Like if the information's not easily and readily available, then it's clearly not a priority for them, and then don't vote for them. Like it's that simple. And do not just vote for who someone tells you to vote for.
Those are the ones
love
I love.
Of God.
Those are the ones that I love.
Oh.
My father has voted purple his whole life, so I vote purple.
Wait, that's a party now.
That's a party now. You can't.
Jeez. 11.
The only safe one always is yellow.
Yellow, yeah, I suppose.
Because it's the one they're not allowed to use.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's elections. It's elections.
Oh, right.
Canada,
the sites.
Color.
Yeah, the sites. Good point.
I've always voted yellow.
So yeah, we'll only have one more episode before the election will happen potentially. So
we'll see if Carney and Polyev want to come on.
You know what?
And sing.
I will reach out to their PR departments.
I don't know if they'll sing. They might dance.
Ooh.
Gotta get
jug meat. Sorry, yes.
Gotta get them in. We're it's been an episode, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, we'll see what's happening in our local ridings. We'll see if there's any more candidates. We'll see if there's anything that's happened in an international environment that's influencing the platforms, which I'm sure there is, because on April 2, it's a day down in.
Yep. What was the announcement today?
Why?
No, but it's not April 2 now, right?
Well, no, it's happening on cars again for the third time. So I get to do.
Well, maybe
we get to do everything all over again. Great.
Sorry, it's just
no.
Okay, wrap it up.
All right. Thanks, Gary, for humoring us as always, and hitting the drops on the board. And we're gaining subscribers left and right here by the ones. Thanks to number 305. I appreciate
your gift baskets in the mail. Hit subscribe. Get a gift basket.
Get outside. Get some sunshine. Listen to us while you walk the dog. That's what I do.
I do too, but it's not the podcast, just me talking to myself.
Oh boy. You've indulged Kevin for far too long. Thanks for listening to us. Again, like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever it is you do. And we'll catch you next time on That Kingsville Podcast.